All right, from the past to the future, potential presidential candidate Gavin Newsom raised eyebrows with his latest comments about the Biden presidency. Watch this.
I would argue of our former president, who I think was one of the most successful presidents in the last century, and that is Joe Biden. And I will defend that till my grave. The fact that he had a worker-centered industrial policy and the fact that those are the right policies for this country.
They're all getting undone, right? I mean, everything.
A lot of them.
Joining us now is the senior writer for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor, Joe Concha. Joe, through what lens of success is Gavin Newsom speaking?
Oh, that's an excellent question, Todd. I don't think there is a really coherent answer to that, because if you want to read a political obituary, Gavin Newsom just wrote his if he decides to run for president in terms of Republican ad after Republican ad. I mean, there is no one on the planet outside of maybe Karine Jean-Pierre, Jill and Hunter Biden, and Joe Biden himself, if he's not coherent, who believes that Joseph R. Biden was one of the most successful presidents of the past 100 years. I am certain we could put Kennedy, Reagan, Clinton, if you take out the whole Monica thing, and, you know, far above Joe Biden, along with President Trump, just in his first 10 months of his second term alone in terms of accomplishments, before we say Joe Biden is anywhere near there. In fact, you can make the argument that Joe Biden was the worst president of the last 100 years. So it's so profoundly odd for Gavin Newsom to say, but it's totally within character, because this is someone who will say anything to any audience that he feels will get a wink and a nod. And in this case, we saw Charlie Kirk, for example. He spoke to Charlie earlier this year, and he said that the Democratic Party has gone too far as the whole woke movement. And then he went on a podcast with some former NBA players this week and said that he believes that anyone who is anti-woke is anti-black and therefore racist. I mean, this is a lizard person you're seeing on your screen, a shapeshifter. And yet he is leading in most polls for the Democratic nomination in 2028 right now, which tells you a lot about the bench of the blue team and its current state if this guy is leading, because he'll just say anything to get elected, and people don't like that.
Yeah, you mentioned the bench. Joe, what is it? It's J.B. Pritzker, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, anybody else we're missing? I mean, he says that he's going to wait until the midterm elections to see if he's going to jump into the race. I'm sure in his heart of hearts, he's potentially already made that decision.
Mayor Pete's leading in some New Hampshire polls.
AOC, to answer your question, Carly.
So you think AOC is the leader of the Democrat Party right now? Wow. Well, you know what? She does share a political party with Zohran Mamdani in terms of the socialist far left wing. And one of the headlines this week was that the polls were tightening between him and Andrew Cuomo. Well, it tightened to 10 points, which is still a landslide victory if it ends up being that. But you have an op-ed out right now that talks about the New York media and blaming them for Mamdani's rise to fame. So tell us about that, your comments there.
Yeah, I mean, Carly, the New York media is supposed to be so tough, and they did earn that reputation decades ago. But those days are long gone, because it is filled with activists, not journalists, who seemingly are openly rooting for Mamdani to take over New York City. One big example of this, it happened earlier this week. Mamdani is talking about 9/11 in front of reporters for 10 minutes. And he goes on about all this alleged Islamophobia that is still rampant in New York City. Yet he never brought up the 2,977 souls who were murdered that day 24 years ago. And not one reporter dared to bring that fact up with him. And then you look at the New York Times or the New York Daily News or the local affiliates like ABC, CBS, NBC, and there's simply almost nothing critical of this guy when there's plenty to be critical about. Hey, that free bus plan that you have, isn't that going to turn buses into homeless encampments and drug couriers? Never gets asked that. No one wants to ask how, if he raises all these taxes that he wants to on all these rich people, even more people are going to flee for income tax-free states like Tennessee, Texas, and Florida, which Florida is seeing the biggest population in the country for very good reason. So he never gets asked the tough questions, Todd. And unless Curtis Sliwa drops out, Mamdani's your next mayor. And even if Sliwa does drop out, there's still a very good chance that he's mayor anyway, because how many Sliwa voters are really going to go to Cuomo?
Exactly.
He's your next mayor.
They're all going to be on the ballot.
The media is not doing its job, and that's sad. Joe Concha did his job, and we appreciate it.